of this class. This is the 2021 draft class, that guys that did not get extended before that that got to free agency. So some guys got paid from this class last summer. Cade Cunningham got a max. Evan Mobley got a max. Scotty Barnes got a max. Franz Wagner got a max. That's 4 guys in the top 8 got maxes. Alperen Şengün got a lot of money. Trey Murphy got a lot of money. Jalen Johnson got a lot of money, and earlier this year, Santi Aldama, who was really the only guy of the restricted guys who's gotten paid so far, got well paid. So
Jalen Green got a pretty nice chunk of money, but not a long-term deal.
Correct. He got paid. I should clarify that he did get paid over $30 million. So Jalen Suggs also got a very good contract. So this a lot of this class has been taken care of. If you go back and look a year earlier in the 2020 draft, I think there were 4 guys who got maxes. That would be Ant Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, and Des Bane, who was the 30th pick. And a bunch of guys from that draft have gotten paid really well. Jaden McDaniels being one, Emmanuel Quickly being one. Oh, Tyrese Maxey, he got a max too. So there's five in that. And then the 2022 class, which is the guys who are getting paid this summer, we've already seen Paolo Banchero get a max, the number 1 pick. Chet Holmgren, the number 2 pick, get a max. And we've seen, Jalen Williams, 12 got a max. Jabari Smith Jr. got very good money. He was the number 3 pick. And some of the other guys are going to get paid too. But the 2021 draft, these are the guys who got sort of stuck. And primarily Josh Giddey, Jonathan Kuminga, and Quentin Grimes, and I guess you would put Cam Thomas from the Nets in there. So we talked to the pod.
I would not put Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas is out there. So, of the guys from this summer who have gotten taken care of from that draft, Davion Mitchell did get a contract from the Heat, but he's been traded around a little bit. Quentin Grimes has been traded twice, for that matter. But I do hear
Grimes was traded 3 times.
Three times, right? Yeah.
Knicks,
New York to Detroit to Dallas
Pistons,
to
Mavs.
Philly.
Yeah,
that's right. So, all right. So, what I am suspecting here is, these guys are going to have decisions. They're all going to have decisions coming up about whether or not they want to take the qualifying offer, which is when you sign a qualifying offer, all of them have to have qualifying offers. Otherwise, they're not restricted. If you sign the qualifying offer, you get an automatic no trade clause, because if you get traded, the team loses the bird rights, so they can't pay you no matter what. So that's why you get an implied no trade clause, so you have control over that. Yeah. And so the team, you control whether you get traded, and you also are at odds with the team. There are examples in NBA history where a player has signed a qualifying offer and things have gone okay and he stayed with the team, but most of the time it signals that this is the beginning of the end with the team. So there's also the possibility that there are offers that these guys will be forced to accept. Now, I talked earlier about how this summer was nuclear winter for free agents, especially for restricted guys, because there was only 2 teams with significant space. Next summer, there's theoretically a lot more. There's some reasoning for saying, okay, I choose free agency next year. Let's just roll it over and try again. And the qualifying offers are all pretty good money. You get a pretty good bump on what you were going to make last year. Let me just take a look at what Kuminga's is off the top of my head, because I think it's pretty good money. Not what he's hoping to get paid, obviously, but it's not something that you're really being penalized for.
But it's a pretty hard sell to take the qualifying offer over the real offer. For any of those guys.
You want to just go kind of case by case here, maybe starting with Kuminga?
All right.
I think we should do Grimes first, just because it's easy.
Okay.
He's restricted with Philly. I have thought the whole summer this is going to end with him signing a probably 2 or 3 year deal for a little bit over the mid-level, and there's not really a reason for it to get done any sooner, because there's not anybody else who can offer him a deal, and that's a fair offer. Philly
his
can do
qualifying
that.
offer is 8.7 million. That's what he would be taking.
Yeah,
Grimes.
Yes,
and he has not made very much money in his career. He's drafted, I think, 25th in the first round. So if he gets something like 345, something in that ballpark, it's a little over the mid-level, and he gets out in free agency again pretty early, like, I think that's a deal that makes sense for everybody. And my guess is he eventually signs that with Philly and he's there.
Yeah, and it was out there that he wanted something like $25 million a year. That's just not realistic. Like, hey, he put up good numbers for Philly, but he put up good numbers when somebody had to score, and he was efficient doing it. But come on, like, you're not getting paid off of putting up some numbers for a team that's losing every night.
Not in a market when nobody has any space.
And his negotiations with the Mavericks last year, he wanted basically, a full mid-level deal. The Mavericks were more in that like 8 to 9 million range. They wanted to give him something like Najee Marshall's contract, which is 3 for 27. That was a big factor in the thinking of the Mavericks trading him for Cody Martin, who's on the deal right in that $9 million per year range. Now, that deal blew up in the Mavericks' face. Cody Martin was hurt at the time. Caleb Martin. I, of all people, should get my twins straight. Although they're identical, so it's more confusing. Anyways, the deal blew up in the Mavericks' face for a variety of reasons. It pushed them right up against the thing where they couldn't even sign a guy to another 10 days, so on and so forth. And it looked really bad because Grimes was putting up a ton of points for Philly. But I'm just telling you, like, there were Mavericks coaches who were not happy with another trade that the team made and weren't shy to let me know about it. None of the Mavericks coaches were upset about the trade for the Grimes for Martin trade. They didn't really value Grimes long term, which is a long-winded way of saying if he's getting something around the mid-level, I think that would be a good deal for him.
Yeah, and if he gets over the mid-level a little bit, as Bontemps said, it incentivizes him to sign it because that's more than anybody's probably going to offer him at this point. Josh Giddey's qualifying offer is $11 million. His situation is, when he got playing time towards the end of the season when they had the injuries, he put up really good numbers. And I'm sure his position is, well, play me starters minutes and I'll continue to put up good numbers.
Yeah, he's never had a problem putting numbers up. That's true. That's not the issue.
Well, and the
issue is defensively.
Well, and also, like, hey, Josh Giddey, to be productive, needs to be the primary ball handler, which for the Bulls right now, he's in a situation where that will be his role. Now, what's the ceiling on a team if Josh Giddey is your primary ball handler? I do think there's a ceiling there. However, all of these things, it's not like this is something that's just been discovered over the last year, the last 6 months. Like, you didn't know any of this stuff before you traded Alex Caruso straight up in a deal where the reaction from anybody who knew anything about the NBA said, hold on, they didn't get any picks in that deal? The Bulls got no picks? Seriously? So if you valued him so much that you traded Alex Caruso straight up for him, how are you going to tell him you don't value him that much during contract negotiations?
Well, I mean, there's valuing him and there's giving him exactly what he wants. And I suspect, again, here, I would be surprised if there isn't a deal that's struck at some point between Giddey and the Bulls. I just, the question I think is it going to be something in the $20 to $25 million range or is it going to be something, well north of that? I mean,
at 30. And that, from what I hear, that's kind of the difference in the discussions right now.
And look, Josh Giddey's a talented player. I wouldn't want to sign him to either deal because, to your point, you're sort of signing yourself up to be a 35 and 47 team if you have him as your main engine of your offense, which is right about where the Bulls were last year and probably will be going forward if they have him doing that. But he is a talented player. If you do believe in him continuing to grow and improve, like somewhere in the $20 to $25 million range is probably a reasonable deal for everybody. Again, like I would assume that gets done at some point and that he doesn't sign the qualifying offer. But to Brian's initial point, Josh Giddey has put up a lot of numbers, and, you know, I think there's a belief that he's got a chance to be a high-level player. And so I could see him saying, well, I was the 6th pick in the draft. I've made a decent amount of money. I get another $11 million. There's a lot of cap space next summer. I'll take my chances. Like that one, I think there's at least more plausibility to that than the Grimes one. But I would still be pretty surprised if he didn't eventually.
Yeah, because he's even if it's the numbers the Bulls are putting out there, it's nearing $100 million total value. It's at least in the upper.
Yeah. Well, and he's he's sort of the same thing as Grimes. Like, if you're a young guy like that, get 80, 90, $100 million guaranteed in your pocket, and then be a free agent again at 26 or 27, and then go try to get another one. Like,
I wish I could tell you I knew what the Bulls' plan was. I do not.
That's been
they
the case.
have
The plan has been to be the 10 seed for years.
And third place in 3-team trades.
They are in position to have a lot of cap space in 26 because Nikola Vucevic, Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter are all in the last year of their contracts. I assume they want to keep Kobe White. It's not likely he gets extended because his number is so low, but he's on the last year of his contract if they wanted to.
Just so fans know what you're saying, he's currently making $12.8 million this year.
Right.
He's had a really good couple of years. He's outplayed his deal, and under the rules of the current CBA, you can only bump a guy up a certain amount of money. So it's unlikely the Bulls, they could probably offer him somewhere around like 3 for $60, maybe a little bit higher than that. And I don't think that would be enough to get Kobe extended.
Yeah, the Bulls would right now. I mean, they did sign Trey Jones to be a backup point guard for them. They gave him 2 years guaranteed. They're in position to have $60+ million in cap space next year, if that's what they want to do. And if they want to keep that flexibility, because they know they're not going to be able to extend Kobe White anyway, they could just squeeze Giddey into the qualifying offer, and then they could just really have a bunch of space. Because if they sign Giddey, it limits their. Now, what are they going to do with that space? That's another question.
Well, and that also depends on the number too. I mean, if he signs for a deal starting at like 21, it costs him $10 million of space in theory. So, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, so then you've got Jonathan Kuminga. This one's a tough one because obviously he has butted heads repeatedly with Steve Kerr, and the idea that they're going to be able to go through a season together, no matter what the situation is, and be hunky-dory, I would think is a hard belief. At the same time, the Warriors have made it clear that they value him as an asset, and they are simply just not going to give him away. If you come to them with a sign and trade offer, as I think they've had a little bit of interest in, including from the Kings, they are not going to just do it to send him away. They're going to want something to really help them. And I think they would like I think in the opposite of the Bulls, where I'm suspecting that there'd be some interest in the qualifying offer from them. By the way, Kuminga's is around $8 million, his qualifier. I think the Warriors would prefer, as long as it wasn't crushing them on the tax, I think the Warriors would prefer to get Kuminga into a contract that they could move, similar to what they did a few years ago with D'Angelo Russell.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's that. I mean, that was a little different because of the Durant deal. I think the obvious analog to this is the guy McMahon brought up earlier, is Jalen Green. And I don't think that Kuminga's getting the same amount of money as Jalen Green for a variety of reasons. The Warriors are going to need to avoid the second apron. We all expect them at some point to get Al Horford signed. So, there's somewhere in the low 20s is probably the limit of what they could really realistically go to this year and get him signed. Using the tax tournament level exception, it would hard cap them at the second apron. But yeah, they would like to have him, I'm sure, under contract. So to your point, as you said earlier, correctly, if you sign the qualifying offer, all of a sudden you can't be traded. The whole point of having Kuminga around this year would be to turn him into something else. I mean, I think there is still some belief with the Warriors that he could still become a guy that fits there, but
not from the coach.
No. I agree. I mean, what I'm saying is I think everybody agrees that would probably be the thing that makes the most sense. But again, the problem is you're in a market where there's not a lot of cap space. There's not a lot of teams that are banging down the door to get him. And so it probably makes sense for everybody to do a shorter term deal of some kind. Again, a 2 or 3 year, like the Jalen Green deal, a 2 or 3 year deal, probably 3-year deal at somewhere in the 20s, and get him a bunch of money. And he's still a young guy. He'd get back out into free agency early, and they would be motivated to put him in good positions to succeed this year and give him a chance to showcase himself some. And I think that situation could work out pretty well for everybody, because look, if there was a good sign and trade available, to your point, Brian, he wouldn't be on the Warriors right now. We wouldn't be talking about it, right? Like if there was somebody out there saying, we got to get Jonathan Kuminga, this would probably be done already, but there isn't. So at some point, I think it makes sense for everybody to come together and find some number that's palatable and try this again in January and February.
Well, maybe something materializes with the Kings or another team, but I definitely think the most likely scenario is this thing plays out similar to what you're talking about. And then, the Jalen Green contract was a 3-year deal, the 3rd year being a player option. That kind of a short-term deal that is designed to be traded. As much as the Rockets denied that deal was designed to be traded, what happened? It was traded, right? Now, I think with Kuminga, though, it would be designed to be traded December 15th, like as soon as he's eligible. And because here's the thing, Steve Kerr has made it crystal clear, like this ain't reading between the lines. It's not sources said. This is Steve Kerr repeatedly on the record saying Kuminga does not fit with Steph and Jimmy. And if you didn't believe what he said, the guy was DNP-CD in the playoffs several times.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that kind of a deal and basically you're trying to flip him as quickly as possible, for value, you've got to play him for the first couple months of the season. You don't have to put him in the starting lineup, but you got to put him in the rotation. You got to put him in a situation to be showcased. But I think that's probably it's not the ideal scenario for anybody, for Kuminga, for Kerr, for the Warriors. But I do think it's the best case realistic scenario, the way that there just has not been a market that's materialized for him, given the circumstances of restricted free agency and the lack of cap space.
Ramona Shelburne and I wrote a story on the Lakers that came out the end of last week. Really, it discussed the limbo that the Lakers are in right now as they navigate moving from a LeBron James-centric team to a Luka Doncic-centric team. And the story generated quite a bit of reaction. And I would just want to say that the thrust of this situation the Lakers are in is not really controversial. Mm-hmm. It's uncomfortable, okay? Because it's not controversial for an organization to look at a 40-year-old superstar and a 27-year-old superstar and say, we need to lean into the 27-year-old. It's not controversial,
26.
26. Well, it'll be 27 next season, but yeah, 26. I guess if I'm going to call him 27, I should call LeBron 41. It's not controversial necessarily if both players are in the position where they've got 1 year left on their contract, that you would prioritize getting the 26-year-old into that new contract as opposed to extending the 41-year-old. That is, in a vacuum, those are not controversial things that the Lakers have done. But as I said, it is uncomfortable, and it is certainly uncomfortable for LeBron, who has never been in this situation before and didn't see it coming. And
going back to February,
right? And so, while and like, by the way, like, I'm not sure that even no matter what LeBron produces this year, that extending him at the max for close to $60 million next year, having a 41 turning 42-year-old is a good usage of money. Like, I don't think that's controversial. I'm not saying that he wouldn't.
I think
have
it would be a good
done.
usage of money for a lot of teams, but this goes back to the fundamental problem the Lakers have had for a long time, which is that they just aren't a very good team outside of their top couple of players, and they need to fully overhaul the roster which is the same situation they've been in, frankly, since the moment they made the Russell Westbrook trade. They've never really gotten out of this situation where they had AD and LeBron and not enough help for years, and now they have Luka and LeBron and not enough help. And it's hard from the situation they're in with no draft picks and no real flexibility to add around Luka and LeBron without subtracting some money and figuring out a way to reshuffle the roster. And there's just not for a lot of teams, yes, re-signing a top 10 or 15 player in the league to the max, even if it's for 1 year, would be a good idea. But they're not a lot of teams.
And I think, here's one more thing. I'm sorry, McMahon. I think the Lakers contributed to the discomfort by not bringing LeBron in on the Luka trade. And I understand why they did it, but I'm just saying it contributed to the discomfort. And LeBron contributed to the discomfort when instead of just picking up his option and saying, all right, I'm going year to year, we'll see you in September, Rich Paul made these statements that were very open-ended, left open to interpretation, and just made it clear that he wasn't necessarily thrilled about the direction of the Lakers. So both sides have contributed, and there's been a bunch of little minor things, but both sides have contributed to a bit of a frost developing there. But I don't think it's a situation where the Lakers are looking to get rid of him, or do I think LeBron is looking to get out of there? I just think they're in this uncomfortable situation. I'm sorry, McMahon, go ahead.
No, and you're obviously closer to this than either Bontemps or I, and the reporting on that. Everybody should read that story, but LeBron at this point wants this to be an uncomfortable situation. In fact, the whole point of Rich Paul's statement coming right after he opts into the last year of his contract is to create discomfort. Now, what exactly the end game is, those guys are extremely intelligent people who understand the way that NBA business works and understand just how difficult any kind of a trade that would make sense for all three parties, the two teams and LeBron, would be to pull off. The idea of LeBron getting a buyout from the Lakers at a number of $52.6 million is, I don't know, man, stranger things have happened, I guess.
I want to just be clear. The reason people are thinking about a buyout is because trading LeBron is very challenging. And it was well, wait a minute, if he's not uncomfortable or if he's not comfortable with their direction, what's his other alternative? To get off of a team, there's only two alternatives. You can be released or you can be traded. And so I think part of it is a vacuum. There's a vacuum, right, and people are stepping into the vacuum. So that's
well, the vacuum that LeBron via Rich Paul has created, and LeBron, when given a chance to clarify the situation,
and the Lakers have created, because again, I have been waiting for Jeannie Buss or Mark Walter or Rob Pelinka or JJ Redick or anybody to say, we're thrilled LeBron has opted in and we'll see you in September. Anybody. Yeah. Can we? Yeah. I don't need the statement, the team statement, but I'd like somebody at some point to say, this is great. We'll see you in the fall. So far,
LeBron is
Rich Paul isn't
his
saying
career.
it. Right. LeBron isn't saying it. JJ Redick isn't saying it. Rob Pelinka isn't saying it. Jeannie Buss. So that's why we have to keep doing this.
And this weekend,
nobody has said it.
And this weekend, LeBron came to a Lakers Summer League game. Dave McMenamin went over and asked him if he wanted to talk about anything in the wake of Rich's comments, and he said basically no comment.
I ain't got nothing to talk about.
And then Rich went on the radio and did another non sequitur statement.
Rich basically said he had
everybody's doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, Rich said he had no interest in clarifying anything. And the Lakers have been, as you said, completely mum. But here's the thing. LeBron, throughout the course of his career, has always been able to apply pressure on the franchises that he played for, because he always had the threat of his departure, right? LeBron has always had the ultimate power. He's always had all the leverage. And now LeBron doesn't have the power and the leverage because the threat of his departure next summer is not really a threat to the Lakers, because it certainly appears that it's part of the plan for the Lakers. So LeBron's ability to apply pressure to go all in on this season, like he's done throughout the course of his career, is non-existent at this point.
I would still also like to know what the grand plan is to build a contending team around Luka.
Well, that's what Ramon and I wrote about. Rob Pelinka presented him with some plan at their exit meeting, and I don't know for sure what was in it. I just know that Rob went in with a binder and Luka left with literature. So he presented him something, and obviously it'll be more formal whenever
some are reading Ljubljana, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and Luka, to his credit, certainly appears to be doing his part in terms of accepting JJ Redick's challenge of getting his butt in shape. He's definitely a lot slimmer. He's definitely getting that revenge bod going. So
I love the revenge bod. You should trademark that. Revenge.
Like I said, that's an IT department phrase. Now, she's doing just fine. She doesn't need to get revenge on me. She's, everything's great. Just to be clear, including the body. But Rob Pelinka's got to roll up the sleeves on that cool leather jacket and get to work, man. And
by the way,
I think Pelinka wisely it's a long, patient approach because you can't microwave this thing. You can't just snap his fingers and create a championship team this year.
When you were talking crazy stuff about underwear and stuff at the live show the other day, and Bontemps was slamming his head into the microphone, he hit his head with the microphone so many times he left a red mark on his head.
Good.
You damaged him with your...
I'm glad.
Yeah.
He's been damaging my brain for a long time, so what else is there?
Okay, a couple things before we go. Number one,